and watching a film together, that kind of thing, that kind of like, there's a comfort, like comfort food, comfort scenario.
Yeah. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Parenthood. I'm your host, Neha Garg, and this is a space where we slow down and listen to the real, layered, and often beautiful, messy stories of parenting. This week's guest is someone I have long admired for her work, her voice, and the quiet conviction with which she holds space for everyone, but more so for children and their worlds. Joining me today is Samina Mishra, a documentary filmmaker, writer, teacher, and curator whose work explores childhood, identity, and education in contemporary India. Among many, many things that she does, she also teaches films and runs the Magic Key Center for the Arts and Childhood, a virtual space brimming with resources for those working with and for children. She's also a mother to Imran and co parents him in a post separation arrangement with his father, someone she's known since her adolescence. I am so excited to dive into her journey today, not only as a parent and a creator, but also as someone who's spent years attuning herself to the inner lives of children. So, Samina, welcome to Parenthood, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that generous introduction. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
So am I. To get us started, Samina, tell us if your life were a book, what would its title be? And which chapter are you on currently?
Oh my God, the title. Looking for wonder, finding enchantment.
Okay, for those
um,
who don't know, that's her Instagram handle, Finding Enchantment.
yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, it would be looking for wonder and finding enchantment. I think it's really important to, because we are living through very difficult times.
Yeah.
So I feel it's really important that we hold on to things that can give us the energy to go through with that. So looking for wonder and enchantment and joy is important, I think, in life, because the difficult stuff is, the structural stuff is not always something that we can fix in a hurry.
Yeah.
And we need to go the distance. So we have to keep our resources inside, replenished. So yeah, and what chapter would I be on? So when I was young, I used to think like by 40, if I haven't done it by 40, then it's over, But of course, I'm 56 now, and I feel I still have a lot to do. So yeah, I mean, I do feel the kind of little bit the creeping in of age in the physical body a little bit, but for the rest, I don't actually. And I hope, I mean, of course, one is, you do get tired, and sometimes you're sort of kind of fighting against the same thing again and again. Um, but I do hope that I still have things to contribute, and I really want to be able to create more.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm like coming to the end of the book.
Yeah. We hope not. And let's talk about your family now. Can you tell us a little bit about Imran? What's he like, and what sort of a person is he?
So I had to get Imran's consent. All this kind of stuff, I
Yeah.
have to always get his consent. And so yeah, although I'm sure he will be like, he'll have something to say when he sees this, like that's oversharing or that's TMI. So yeah, he's that kind of kid. He's very he lives a lot, like he has a very strong sense of himself, I think.
Yeah.
And he's very comfortable spending time on his own, and that means also like working and being to his own timetable, which
Mhm.
can be a problem, like in
Mhm.
the world when you're like engaging with the structure of the world, and it does become a problem for him, I think, sometimes. But I think overall, I think it's a good quality to be able to feel comfortable doing it at your own pace. I
Yeah.
think he has that. He talks argues.
Mm.
Um, he is a reader. He was a very traditional type of reader as a child when he was growing up. He loved fiction. He read a lot. He was always like, he was a bit like me as a kid in that he always had a book, like when he would travel and things like that. I think now he reads in less traditional ways, a lot online, and
Mhm.
I'm not so sure if he reads as much fiction now,
Mhm.
which I hope he will come back to, because I think fiction is really important to keep, nurturing the imagination. He's an imaginative kid,
Mm.
not a kid anymore. He's 23.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just finished his. So he's
You
finished.
were his age when, no, you were not his age.
No,
When,
I was
oh, sorry, I got
31,
my math wrong. I thought you were
32.
46.
I'm 56.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's finished his graduation. He's done his graduation in international relations, but he was lucky enough to get a year in Paris. His last year of graduation, he got a year in Paris to just do arts related courses and French and things which he's kind of pretty good at. And he's very interested in the arts. So it was a very, I think, wonderful experience for him to get that year. And so he's just back, and we wait and see what he does with it.
And
Yeah.
and you've also shared that you co-parent with Imran's father, and that you've known him since you were 16.
Uh, yes.
What was it like to navigate a transition from an intimate partnership to a co-parenting relationship, both emotionally and logistically?
uh, Challenging. Yeah. So actually, I think what happened is that I mean, we separated, and Imran, he had applied for this. There are these schools called the United World Colleges,
Yes.
and he had applied for that. So he went away for his plus two. So in
Mm.
some ways, he was not with
Mm.
us,
Mm.
through this period
Mm.
that we've been separated. So we have been doing it at a distance. And
Mm.
now he's back, but now he's an adult, and I
Yeah.
don't know what it's going to be like. But in these years, I do think that I was kind of like the primary parent in terms of, um, logistical things, and coming to me with various like issues and things, or whatever needed to be signed and all of that kind of thing. But Imran has a very like good emotional relationship with his father. He feels that both of us have like I think he accepts that parents are flawed
Yeah.
individuals. He
Yeah.
accepts it with great glee. Um, and so he's very open with all the time, like critiquing us and
Mm.
telling us
Mm.
what we are doing wrong with him, with each other, all that sort of thing. He's very open and quite enthusiastic about that. So, in that sense, I would say the co parenting journey has been like a tripartite one, you know, and because he's been away, and it's been at a time like where he's really been growing into adulthood.
Yeah.
So much of that has been like, I think we've been in a kind of backseat
Mm.
position, and
Mm.
he's been doing a lot of the navigating of his own life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I must say that I feel, like he was home during that one COVID year, but otherwise, I mean, if we don't count that, it's been 7 years since he actually left home, and he's back now, and I feel like he's really grown into
Mm.
a person, into an adult.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what he does with it,
Yeah.
as I think is his father. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And how would you describe the dynamic in your home now that he is back? What does is there a regular day, weekday or a weekend?
Yeah.
How does it look like?
It's, I think, too soon. He's just back, like just over 2 weeks. So it's
Oh,
too
that
soon.
soon. Yeah.
Too soon. At this point, it's still like, like when he used to come home for holidays, basically he would be on some ulta sleep cycle, and I just had to make sure there was food in the fridge.
Yeah.
And so it's still a little bit like that.
Yeah.
But There is, I mean, because he's been away in these years. He's learned to cook and like take care of a kitchen and things, and host his friends. So he's very participative in that part of it. So
Wow.
overeat, yeah, I had some friends over and all that, and he was like making like sure that they had something to drink. He helped me with, like all the kitchen
Yeah.
related things. So he's good with that. But he's in that right now holiday type of mood where he's like mostly in his room locked up, watching things, playing something. It's like that. So we
Yeah.
haven't quite arrived at a typical yet.
Oh, nice. And I want to go back in the moment for a bit, Samina. How did your journey into the journey into parenthood begin? Was there a pivotal moment or shift when you felt that, oh my God, I'm a parent now?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there was a pivotal moment. I must say that the minute that he was born, I fell in love, or maybe I was already in love with him from
Yeah.
before that, you
Oh,
know?
I'm having goosebumps.
Yeah. So uh, I didn't, I mean, it was, I mean, there were all those challenges of, sort of managing and wanting to do things on the outside and all of that. But I loved every stage.
Yeah.
Uh, with him. I think for me, it was like, I think parenting is that time. For me, working with children actually is about that, where you kind of like rediscover the world and
Yeah.
you're discovering it along with somebody who is looking at it for the first time. And I think I felt nurtured by that process.
Yeah.
Suddenly
Yeah.
you're like, looking at things and the possibilities that the world holds, um, the desire to share the things that you love with someone
Yeah.
and kind of pass it on, which is very, I think, natural part of parenting. And it can also be a negative thing, I
Yeah.
think, for the
Yeah.
child. And, I don't think I was always very careful or reflective enough about that. I'm sure there are many mistakes. But for me, those things were the things that really made the whole journey kind of special. And I don't think that there was a pivotal moment that I felt, oh my
Yeah.
God, I have to deal with this. Like
Yeah.
that's what it means. I think yeah, I just enjoyed it. Like from that first second, I was just so happy that I had him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that also it's been like, this you kind of there are ideas that you sort of think that you believe in and you
Yeah.
kind of like try to live by and all that. And of course, once you have a child, so many of those things go out of the window because you're like seeing this other part of you and you're getting irritated and you're, wanting things to be in a certain way and then you just want them in your way. So those things are also, I don't think they're easy going through at that moment, but now I can look back and see like how they're also like important learning experiences, no? And you kind of like, I think also it's important to have people around you who can point that out, that, those things are surfacing in
Yeah.
you. Um, it's not easy always. And I mean, I've done also all gadbad. But I mean, that's life, no? Messy and muddled. And yeah, like you said in your introduction, the messiness of
Yeah.
parents, no, it's that. So, all in all, I feel that, yeah, it's been very imperfect. But I think I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's like the most important thing. Like, it has never really felt like a burden to me. There have been challenging moments where, like we have fought and, those emotional kind of challenges, material challenges. But overall, it's never felt like a burden to me. It's
Mm.
felt like I'm enriched by it.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
beautiful, how beautiful. And I'm also intrigued. Was your work with children also like a kind of a parallel to your parenting journey?
Yeah.
Was it related or it just was
No,
something that,
so I was already working on things related to children and
Mhm.
childhood from my college days. Like when I was studying at Jamia, at MCRC, I mean, many of my projects were with and about children and creating things for them. So I was interested in that
Mhm.
space. But of course, the articulation has grown sharper, the work has developed much more. That's a function also of the fact that, I had him in my 30s, and, those are
Yeah.
also your years of like really figuring out,
Yes.
like
Yes.
creative work and what is it that you want to do, the opportunities that you get also at that time. So in that sense, it's been parallel.
Mm.
um but I can't say that, it's because I had him that I did the
Mm.
work. No, no,
Yeah.
it's before. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think that, the things kind of overlap, no, like I
Yeah.
think all creative work and people who are in the arts, what's happening in our lives and what's happening in our work, they're so intertwined also, no?
Yeah.
There are overlaps. So that of course is there, and that sometimes has been really helpful for me
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
Uh, and sometimes conversations with him have like very often when I was writing when he was a child, it was like I could run it by him because I
Yeah.
have that,
Yeah.
potential
Yeah.
reader there, or potential audience there. So that's, I mean, in those ways also, like very logistically speaking, those ways. But I think in terms of ideas also, that the
Mm.
overlap comes from like, some experience that you have with your child,
Mm.
and it throws up
Mm.
something, and that makes you think about something in a
Right.
different way. So
Right.
those kinds of overlaps, I mean,
Yeah.
it's intertwined.
Yeah, yeah. And what other than that, what drives your work? Because it's so rooted in so many things, but also just in itself rooted.
Yeah.
So what drives you?
I think so. I came to, like I said, I was working on things related to childhood and children, even during college, and many of my projects were about those things. And then I was working in the documentary space. I mean, I like to think that I'm still working in the documentary space, though it's been some years since I made a film, 4 years. But I think those two things, like working in the real world,
Mm.
working with ideas of representing the real world, and also my interest in children's lived experiences. I think the two sort of came together, and I think that's what drives the work, which is that making place for children's lived experiences and children's voice, and the fact that, there is a kind of conventionally one idea of childhood, and I
Right.
don't believe that, and I mean, I think the world actually belies that. But it's a stereotype that really needs still working. I mean, you would
Mm.
think it shouldn't be, but that is the case. People think of childhood when policy making is done also. I think there's just this one notion of what it means to be a child,
Right.
whereas actually childhood is of many kinds.
Mm.
And so to be able to kind of talk about that multiplicity of childhood, the many diverse lived experiences that children have, and what does it like from that, how we can learn as adults
Mm.
the what it means to be able to live together, because that is the challenge of our times, that we
Yeah.
don't know how to live together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what drives it.
And you said that, with Imran, you don't have a typical day, but I'm also interested to know, like, individually as a person, do you have a typical day?
Yeah. Um, in some ways, there's like a broad kind of typical, but it depends so much on what I'm working on
Yeah,
at the
because you're
moment.
working on so
I
many
and
things.
it's different from like
Yes.
project to project kind of thing. So my typical day, like I'm a sort of I wake up generally early,
Hmm.
and I like that morning time to myself.
Hmm.
I'm a big tea drinker, so I drink at least 2 cups of tea, large cups of tea in the morning.
Wow.
Um, I have a conversation with my cats. My now I have one cat, but with
Mhm.
my cat. So I have that. That's also because it's a quiet time, and cats
Yeah.
also like quiet time. So that's a very good time for us together. Uh, and I live, my parents are on the ground floor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the second floor, and my parents are now like, my father is sort of he has a lot of mobility issues. He's old and like many age related things and all that. So his breakfast time is his best time of day. So if I don't have to go out of the house and I'm working at home, then I always go down around 9 o'clock when he's having breakfast, and I have a cup of coffee with him.
Wow.
And then I come up and I'm working, which can mean different things. Like
Yeah.
now I'm dressed and showered because I'm doing this with you, but sometimes I'm working in my pajamas till 12 o'clock. So depending on what's going on. Um, and so I work, and then again, if I'm not going out, if I don't have meetings outside, or I'm not doing anything that takes me outside, then I will go down again around 4:35 to be with my parents for a little bit, and then I come up. At that point, it depends on whether I'm feeling energetic enough to work more or I'm not, or, it really depends. So, in
Yeah.
that sense, I don't have a very typical work day.
Mm.
And I'm
Yeah.
not one of those, like, I write, but I'm not like a disciplined writer. So,
Yeah.
my writing always comes like, in bursts, and I'm
Mm.
writing like other things. Like, if I'm working on projects, there are other types of things that I
Yeah.
have to write. So, that kind of thing I do. But, like the creative writing part, I'm not disciplined about it at all. So
Thank you for
broadly,
saying
I'm a
that.
disciplined person in, like,
Yeah.
sleep and food and exercise, and also I'm very good with that. Like in the summer, I swim. So these days I swim in the evening. I'll go off in the evening to swim.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 3 times a day, 3 times a week, I try to do yoga. So
Mm.
in those ways, I'm disciplined. But this is like, in bursts and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
No, but seriously, thank you for saying that, because for people like me, I mean, I am like that, I also create in burst, whether it's writing or whether it's anything, and it just is okay, I think.
No, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Also tell me, Samina, you're doing so many things. You have so many, I mean, identities, if I were to use that word. You're a teacher, a filmmaker, a writer, a curator, and a mother. How do you move between these identities without, or not without losing your sense of self, I want to say, but you know what I mean, like, what is that something that holds you together, anchors you while you move
So,
between?
I don't see them as like separate boxes.
Yeah.
For me, it's all my practice, no, and it's all connected. And it's about like the thing that I'm doing, what is the best form of doing that?
Right.
So I don't see that a separation. For me, my practice is like when they say, hybrid and multi and all
Yeah,
that, I feel
yeah,
it's like that. So,
yeah,
and some of the curation stuff, like I kind of like drifted into it because of other practice.
yeah,
So like when I was
yeah.
curating for Mami, they came to me because of the work that I had done with
Right,
children in childhood.
right.
So, and because I was a filmmaker and I was also teaching film. So, and I went into the classroom teaching film because I was a filmmaker. So I don't see them as all being separate, and they in fact feed into each other. My
Right.
personal practice, I think the articulation gets better because I have taught. That has like
Mm,
working with young people, trying to teach them makes me articulate in a
mm,
sharper, clearer way.
right.
The same thing with curation. Curation is not just putting a bunch of films together, or like when we create curated sound files, my friend Iram and I, it's not just like you have to think through ideas, right?
Mm,
Like you have to think like, what is the frame? What is your gaze? How are you putting this together? You're right.
right.
So that is again pushing you to articulate clearer, and that is going to feed into anything that I write or anything that I make.
Mm,
That
yeah,
ability to be able to see that,
yeah,
because in the end, art is about like otherwise we're constantly like art is about talking about things that have been spoken about for centuries.
yeah,
But there's always a new way of sharing that, no, through a
yeah,
new experience, through maybe something that feels new because the context has changed.
yeah,
We need to be able to see that, no,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that to be able to look at both content and form in a kind of clear way.
yeah.
I feel all of these things help are helping me.
Yeah. And
Present
and tell me,
continuous.
yeah, and tell me someone who creates, where do you go for replenishing yourself? What feeds your inner life?
Lots of things. I mean, I read, I watch movies, I watch bad TV shows sitting in my pajamas. I swim. I love to walk in good weather. Um, Between trees, and I mean, I love the natural world like that. I love to travel, and most of all, I think my friends, they
Mhm.
really like are a very important part of my life.
Yeah.
I think having a sense of community, having a community is, I think, really important.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm lucky. I'm really fortunate. I have that. I
Mm,
have that.
yeah.
So lots of things.
And I'm also very interested, while you said that, your parenting journey and your work journey has been kind of a parallel thing. But tell me, has Imran ever inspired a project directly or indirectly? Like, uh, has there something been in your work that has been like, okay, this is because Imran is?
Mm, no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Though he's there in some of the work, some things are.
Yeah.
One of my books, which has just come out this year, called Where Does It Hurt?
Yes.
So where does it? It's just a poem, and it has many different characters in it, and most of the characters are children that I know and I've met.
Mm.
And the Imran in that is that incident is actually it happened to him.
Yeah.
So in that way, yes, he has crept into my work in like many ways. But I don't know if I've done a project that has been inspired by him. No, I'm not that kind of parent, I think. you know, no.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I think you also work with so many children, because I think that also, kind of assimilative nature of that experience also gets into, everything that you do.
So, the James Baldwin quote, the children are always ours. No,
Yeah.
that I mean, I'm forgetting the other part of it, but
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
idea, and for me, I think it's that of course, Imran is really important to me, but my work is not about him, and it has not emerged from him, and
Yeah.
it's not going to end with him. Um, uh, for me, it is about I work with children and about childhood because I think there's something that we need to think about there. We need to kind of make place for because it can contribute to the way that we understand the world and that we can imagine the world we want to live in.
Yeah.
Imran is one child in that, but
Yeah.
no, he's not central
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
No, no. I do. I mean, I know that in the space of writing for children and a lot of like people who work with children, often first of all, there are a lot of women, and that's part of
Mhm.
the whole, why we have had, what is called the feminization of
Yes.
education, right? So it's part of that, things about children and childhood are seen in this way that, it's instinctive and it comes to women because we are like maternal and
Yeah.
all of that, right? And that actually we don't need to think about these things. So actually, I have a big problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that we need to study and understand childhood in the same way as we would understand any other idea, any
Yeah.
other social phenomena. And we have to give place for, people like scholarly work,
Yes.
people who have spent time thinking about these things. We have to read and we have to learn from that. And it's definitely not something that is comes naturally to women.
Yes.
um, because if that was the case, we would not have all these kinds of problems that we have.
Yeah.
um, and that it's in itself is such a gendered problem that to,
Yes.
to think of it in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that, yeah, Imran is central to my work. No.
But okay, and vice versa. Has your work impacted the way you have brought him up, or are you parenting, because you work with I mean, your work is such a central part of your life. It's kind of enmeshed, if I can say so.
Yeah.
But has that impacted how your parenting has been with Imran?
Uh, so again, it's hard to kind of say which came first and
Mm,
how that happens, but definitely that you one can see some kind of overlaps.
yeah.
Uh, like for example, when he was growing up, the many things that I took him to see, to experience, they
Mm,
did come also out of my work. They're
yeah.
things that I came to know because of my work, spaces that I came to know because of my work, and then I wanted to share it with him. So
Mm,
those kinds of overlaps, definitely. Um, I mean, I don't know that it was like anything really very conscious, that you know I work on childhood and therefore my child, in that conscious kind of way, but conscious in this, in the larger way, that I wanted him very much to understand, you know like structural inequality in the world
yes.
in a way that you can with children. And for me, that just meant that I have to be able to take him to many different types of places, and let him see different kinds of ways of being and living.
Yeah.
So that was a conscious thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know that the childhood and the
Mhm.
work on childhood part of it was, like that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And tell me, because you've said that, your journey it has been like more or less enjoyable in that sense, and you feel so
There's been
enriched.
some very hard
Yes,
moments
so
also.
that's my question. Tell me about the hard moments. Tell me about the moments that knocked the wind out of you as a parent.
Oh, well, I mean, of course, the teen years are hard. I think they were hard for me also. And also because that was around the time that Kunal and I were starting to kind of like,
Mm,
separate. And so it was hard. And it was hard for him to go through that in those years, I think. Um, and I think his his kind of way of dealing with it for a while was to somehow, because I'm a doer. I
mm,
do.
mm,
Although I'm trying very hard as I grow older to like just be, but
mm.
I am like instinctively, I feel I can fix. Like if there's a problem, I can do this to fix.
Right.
And sometimes you can't, and you
Yeah.
have to accept that. And that I think has been like difficult
Yeah.
for like between us also. So his way of, I think, then coping with it was to like lay it all at like,
Yeah.
Amma, you have not been in, you're doing this, or you're not been able to do that, or whatever, and me feeling like, oh, but I'm doing, and he can't see that I'm doing so much,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And I think it was hard, particularly like when he was going away to UWC those years. Also, that was a time, so he's got ADD.
Okay.
ADHD. It's not like he never needed some medication, and it was never so pronounced.
Mm,
Most of it came in like this executive functioning kind of thing of not
yeah.
being able to meet deadlines and that kind of thing. And when he left home, suddenly, like, I think, like what how they explained to me was that very often this shows up late when people they leave
Yeah.
home, because
Yeah.
particularly in Indian households, I think we are always there, get up,
Yeah.
go, now you have to
Yeah.
do this, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think some of it, I mean, the signs were there, and I didn't know, I didn't make the connections. And then when he went to hostel in UWC, then suddenly like it showed up and all that. So that's a lot of things going on at the
Yeah.
same time. His parents have separated. This thing is like,
Yeah.
come into the foreground. He's away in a new country. But I think the thing that happened, like, I think because we laid some foundation in his childhood of being
Yeah.
able to like talk, talk, talk. So even when we were not like talking verbally in those
Hmm.
moments, we were able to talk in other ways and just like be there to kind of go get past that. And I must say that I would credit him a lot for that,
Yeah.
uh, for the persistence, uh, and also me, that
Yeah.
there was no question of like there being a breakdown ever.
Mm, mm, yeah.
There was like always like there could be those momentary challenges, and the moment could extend over some
Yes.
days,
Yes.
but there was never that we will like get past that, I think.
Yeah.
uh, but I must say I credit him a lot for being able to see, um, that human beings are complicated,
Yeah.
and to see how, and I think much of it also because of the experience that he had going away to UWC, the things that he did there. He was, they have this thing called peer listening and all, and he became a peer
Mm,
listener. So it opened up, ways
yeah.
of being for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I come from a family also, like, where there's a lot of talking, like
Yeah.
my nephew used to say that when he was a child, there's too much talking in this family. So like when we fight,
Yeah. Mm.
there's a lot of talking. Like, if I've had fights with my parents and all that, it just goes on. So in that sense, so we like I was already like that, and I think he
Mm,
also has got some of that, plus from all of those experiences. But I must say that maybe the last of his teen years were difficult because of so many challenges coming together.
yes. Yes.
And it was hard on many fronts. For me, I was like trying to figure out things, how things will be.
Yeah.
And I think I made also mistakes in how I was with him. Like sometimes uh, expecting too much understanding.
Mm, mm,
That also, I think I did.
mm.
Uh, and that's not fair. But at that moment, it felt unfair to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about talking, you said, there is a lot of talking, and but I'm struck by something that you said. You said that even when we were not talking verbally, there was a lot of talking in other ways. What Tell us about the other ways? What are the talking?
Food, food,
Yeah. Mm,
watching movies together.
mm,
So, I mean, one of the things that we have not done for a while, but every holiday we used to do that. This like eating Chinese food and watching a film together, that kind of thing. That kind of like, there's a comfort, like comfort food, comfort scenario.
yeah.
That.
Mhm.
And I think hugs. We have
Yeah.
given hugs, a lot of
Oh.
hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also talking via SMS and stuff. When he
Mm,
was away, for example, if we had
yeah.
something on the phone, then
Mm.
continuing to do that.
Uh-huh.
No, and it's been like sometimes we are in the middle, he's been away and we have had an argument and something, and he has blocked me for a couple of days. That has also happened.
Oh God, I am already
So you have
dreading
things,
my
yeah,
son
maybe,
growing up.
but you may be far better at it than I was.
We'll see when the time comes. Mm. But very interesting. And sometimes I feel that, the smallest moment, like you talk about eating Chinese together and watching movies, moments like these end up leaving the deepest kind of impressions. Is
Yeah.
Are there? And I'm not going to restrict it to one moment, but are there seemingly small, perhaps even mundane moments with Imran that have stayed with you that
Absolutely. And
tell
not
us
just
about
with
them?
me, for with him, I think,
Mm.
he, I think he spends a lot of time trying to make sense of stuff from his childhood and all that,
Ah,
like I mean, he's a creative type of boy, and I think he wants to be able to create things also. So I think he draws a lot on that. And in that process, I think he's tries to kind of make sense of it. And so I know that there are moments which he remembers, and
Mm.
I remember, or we'll be watching something or something we'll see, and I'll say, "Do you remember that time?" And he remembers it, So there are
Mm.
very, like, I think, where we've like there'll be, and also because he has grown up in a time of hyper documentation. No, there's
Yes,
lots of pictures and
yes.
videos and all. So there are key moments. Like there's there's a video which he has saved. Some 2 3 videos which, like in some moment when he's been far away and he's missing me or something, he will send that, and like I know
Oh.
what is going on. Video of us, or video with something with our cat. We just lost our cat who was almost
So,
17 years old, and he's kind of Imran is entire childhood in a sense.
yes.
Pirate has kind of seen him through, and that moment actually brought up many of those,
Mm.
that have, like, in a, like, they are tied together through the
Mm.
memory of those
Yeah.
specific things. That day that I brought Pirate home, for example. And I surprised him. Pirate was at my friend's. I think his mother has probably died in a accident or something. So my friend had found these 2 kittens outside her home,
Mm.
and she had called me and said, because I was living in a ground floor house at that time. And I
Mm.
was like, and Imran was 7. And I thought, it's time to, like, I'd had a cat before and then she had died. And so I thought, okay, it's
Mm.
time, we should get something. And so she called me, and I was editing that day. So I said, I'll come at the end of the day after I finish. And by the time I got there, the runt of the litter had died.
Mm.
They were like really tiny. They were just few
Yeah.
days old. And I brought Pirate home. And I didn't tell him. Rani was in a cardboard box. And I remember, so I kept it outside in the garden. And I went and I called him and I said, I have something for you. And so he thought, oh, there's a box with a toy or something. And he opened it and there was a small little black pirate. And he remember, like, for him also, that, like, I remember
Yeah.
that moment, he remembers it. Just
Yeah.
the first time something,
Yeah.
walking somewhere, like,
Mm.
and he's little sentimental type boy.
Yeah.
Know if he would like me to say it, but he
Now,
has a
now
stock
the
of pictures and things, and like when he's telling me, like, this year in Paris, all the new friends that he made and all, when he's telling me about it, it's always like showing me this picture, and this is when we did this, and this is my last day of this and my first day of this. So there's
Mm.
a lot of last first.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
are those moments. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. And and tell me, Samina, if you could sit across from the version of you that existed before becoming a mother, and you could tell her anything, what would you tell her?
Chill. That it's going to be okay. Yeah, it's going to be hard, but it's going to be okay. And the anxiety that you feel, that will you pass on something to your
Mm.
child that you hold dear, it
Mm.
will happen. And be relaxed about it and don't be anxious about it. I saw that, and I told him this, and um, so this he went to Paris in August, and
Mm-hmm.
then I had gone for work to the US. So when I was coming back home in October, was October, I think. I stopped in Paris and I spent a week with him. And it was like, I mean, I've been to Paris before, but this
Yeah.
time it was like he was showing me his
Yeah.
Paris, although he had spent not in that much, like that had been 2 months.
Yeah.
But in those 2 months, he had some whatever. And
Yeah.
where did he, like the first day, where did he take me to? A bookstore.
Oh.
Then a library, like his key, these things,
Yeah.
this like kebab shop, but like some Turkish guy,
Yeah.
that's so I said to him, it's like I'm seeing the stuff that I wanted to expose you to in your childhood, and hope that, it would go some way in how you become.
Mm.
Uh, I can see that it is there. And
Yeah.
yeah, obviously. But I saw that. No, so I feel that if I could have told myself in my that don't be anxious about it, it will happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also be anxious about it because it will happen. In my case,
Oh
yeah, because
God.
you just scared me now.
That was not my intention.
But it's okay. We'll get
But
over it. But oh,
yeah, I think that, so I think I would tell that person to just be who you are and just like do the things that come naturally. And no,
mhm.
don't like it will, yeah, that anxiety of wanting to like pass
Yes,
on. And for me, because I grew up with a mixed name, Imran has also a mixed background. For me, those things were also important given the context of the country and the
right,
world.
right.
That I'm not a religious person, but it was important to me that I'm able to pass on that part of my identity, that it
Yeah,
doesn't get lost.
yeah, yeah.
And there is, of course, anxiety also about that, particularly if you're not a practicing person. No,
Yes,
like your child is not seeing you do those things, and yet you're like, I do want you to hold on to some part of that,
yes, yes.
and that's the reason why we gave him the name that we did.
Hmm. Hmm.
But those things, I feel that I could. I mean, if I would go back in time, I would say that it'll happen because that's the fabric of your life, that's the texture, and it comes through.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I would tell her.
And and if you could tell your future version something that you're sitting here and you can see how Imran is turning up and he's 23 now, so he's more than an adult. So
Yeah,
he's been an adult for a lot of
fine.
years now. 5 years, yes. So what would you like to tell yourself now?
My future self.
Yes.
Well, that's a difficult one because I don't know what I will also be, like how I am going to be. I
Yeah.
don't know that, but I do feel now, like I have a sense that he's taken charge of his life. Like
Hmm.
he will find his way to do
Hmm.
whatever he wants to. And my role now is just to kind of be the silent supporter on the
Yeah.
side and just watch.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what I'm going to be like in another 20 years, what kind of old woman I'm going to be. Um, but I think what I would like is because I think I will need energy. He's that kind of boy that if I want to keep up with him, I will need energy.
Hmm.
Oh, that's the only thing that I feel. I don't want to be, yeah, I want to be like a fit person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, that's what I think about like in the
Yeah,
future.
future.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
And we are coming to a close of this conversation, Samina. My last question to you, if there's one message, one insight, one piece of wisdom that you would like to leave our listeners with, something that encapsulates who you are and your parenting philosophy, how you view the world, what would it be?
So, like I said to you when you approach me, that I'm very wary of like parenting advice
Yeah.
because I mean, I don't think that I have it sorted,
Mhm.
and I doubt that anybody has it.
Mm.
So I'm like, I shy away from that. But in my work with
Yes.
different kinds of kids and combining that with my experiences with Imran, I think the one thing that I think is really important is as adults being able to be kind of self-reflexive and
Mm.
to see how children are part of like the larger structures of the world and how structural inequalities actually are things that we need to, they are not just some abstract things out there, but they are in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, and that we need to think about that. Um, and to be able to think about that by actually listening to children. I
Mm.
think we need to do that. And instead of thinking that we understand structural inequality and we can tell them how to be, I
Mm.
think instead of that, we need to listen to the
Mm.
children's lived experiences and from that understand. those inequalities in the world. So I feel that that's the one thing that I would say is important that we do. Make place to listen to children and to different kinds of children. That, your child is one tiny little drop and does not represent everything in the world. And
Mhm.
your child is important, but your child needs to know that there are many other kinds of childhoods and that you can bring those childhoods into that child's world in many different ways. Sometimes we can't have that in a person to person interaction, but there are other ways to do that by things, stories that we share, and um, films that we watch, and the art that we see. There are many ways of doing that. So
Mm.
that's I feel really important. The
Yeah,
children are all ours,
yeah, yeah.
as
Beautiful,
someone
beautiful.
has said in a much better way.
Yeah. But I have a, sorry for taking more time, but I have a follow-up question to that, Samina, to what you said. In a lot of families now that I am seeing, my contemporaries, there is, I think, very little time and very little awareness, I would say, not inclination, but awareness to bring those diverse stories into the life of the child, especially through experiences. Like we can buy them books, but that's kind of the end of it. So, what do you suggest for parents who are pressed for time? What can they do?
So, I mean, this is it's the neoliberal world that we live in, that it's parenting, like you said, has become a lonely journey. It's
Yeah.
become a lonely journey because these are the times that we live in, where everything seems to be the responsibility of the individual, and as if the larger structures of the world don't impinge on those individual lives. Of course they do, but the way that it is now talked about is always, like how to be a good parent. But it's not about how to be a good parent, actually, like how to be a good world, a
Yes,
good society,
yes,
like
yes.
which is able to kind of form community. And I think one of the things that you are talking about, one can do that if there is a community,
Mm,
however small, so
mm,
that only one parent doesn't have to do that, that
right.
there is a sharing of that.
Mm,
So, one of the easiest ways is that if there's a community library near your home,
mm,
which is open to all kinds of children, that's a place where your child can go once a week and meet all kinds of children.
mm,
That's one simple way to do that.
yeah.
I think the other is to form those, when Imran was growing up, I wanted very much, like, I would take him for like some this festival or that festival or somewhere where there was some art thing. But in my car, always there were more than two children. There was
Mm,
always like three, four, five, depending. There were other kids who were going along. So I feel that if there is a group of people, and then there is a sharing of things. Somebody's interested
mm,
in one thing and somebody's interested in another. Someone knows something else. That is a way of opening the world out. Children are not just the responsibility of the parent. Of course, we are the parents.
mm,
But I think this idea of, it takes a village means, what does it actually mean?
yeah,
We have to think a little bit about applying that to
yeah,
our, you know,
yeah,
and when we live kind of like closed lives, we are closing the borders for the child.
right.
Actually need to do the opposite. We need to open that. So
Yeah.
it's actually about the adults in that child life to think about their lives, like
Mm,
what is the life you want to live. And
mm,
if you lead that kind of life, then your child will see those people in your life, those
mm,
different kinds of people.
mm,
For me, I think for Imran, that because my friends are such a big part of my life, he saw, and I'm different types of friends. Not all my friends are like married and living some coupled up life and going for couple holidays and like that. I mean, so he saw there are many ways of being in the world,
mm,
and that is just something then you absorb. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
so I feel it's for adults to think, like examine your own life and see like
mm,
what is that life you want for yourself?
yeah,
How does that life connect with the larger world. No?
Yeah, yeah. How beautiful. How beautiful. Samina, thank you so much for this conversation. I particularly am in awe of the
Oh, please.
calm spaciousness that with which you reflect on parenting, identity, and creativity. I've learned so much just by listening to
Thank
you. Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much. You're very, very generous.
You deserve it all and more. I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for joining us on Parenthood. If this episode resonated with you, please take a moment to subscribe, share it with your fellow parents and caregivers, and leave us a review. Your stories, your shares, and your voices help this community grow stronger. Until next time, this is Neha signing off. Take care and bye bye.